What are you? It was the first week of 11th grade, and a new kid asked me, "What are you?" What? Like race, ethnicity? Oh, my mom is black and my dad is white. The funny thing is, I've only been asked that question 3 times, and every time it's come from another multiracial person. Maybe they were trying to see if we had something in common, but what are you is such an exotifying and objectifying way of putting it. It makes it seem like I'm something less than human. But other multiracial people aren't the only ones who think or want us to share an identity. Recently, I was talking to a camp friend who's Indian after her show, and after we had said our how are yous, she asked me out of the blue, "Are you Indian?" I said, "No, I'm black and white." Another time, I was at a birthday party I had organized for my friend. At the party, there was a mom who I had met that day and whose daughter I barely knew. The mom asked me, "What's your ethnicity?" Her daughter said, American?" And I said, "My mom is black and my dad is white." The mom, who was Latina, said, "So you're not Latina?" I said, "No." And then my friend's dad, who's white, said, "She's biracial. She is the future." I felt objectified. I felt like maybe my ambiguous appearance makes me a mirror for others to map themselves and their hopes and dreams onto. I guess maybe I am the future, but I also have a lot of conflicting past within me. For example, my dad's middle name is Whitney, and he shares this middle name with some of his relatives. His cousin Molly went by Whitney for a while because she thought it was less waspy. The ironic part is that it's a family name because we're related to Eli Whitney, the inventor of the cotton gin, which increased cotton production and therefore slavery tremendously. I mean, joke's on Whitney because my dad met a black woman at the UCLA Anderson School of Business, and he married that woman, and then they had me. That almost got my dad disowned, but that's another story. Prior to the Anderson School, my dad was an English major at Yale University. And you know who else went to Yale? Eli Whitney! Go Bulldogs! So, Yale has these things called residential colleges. They're like Hogwarts houses, but for wasps instead of wizards. One of them used to be called Calhoun College, named after John C. Calhoun, the major proponent of slavery. There was actually a stained glass window in the cafeteria with a bunch of enslaved people looking up at Calhoun like he was their Lord and Savior or whatever. That stained glass window was smashed by a black member of the kitchen staff. My black grandmother's maiden name was Calhoun, so my dad said I might have looked up at that stained glass and wondered if those were my ancestors kneeling to Calhoun in submission. This conflict inside me, being descended from both oppressor and oppressed, is strong. But then some of the people who are supposed to be my community, black people, don't see me as one of them. One time I was at a fly-in for a college for prospective students who were low income or students of color. We had a social event one night, and I went up to a group of black kids who were talking about HBCUs. At one point they turned to me and asked what my name was. "I'm Flora." And one kid said, "And you are not black, right?" And I said, as cheerfully as I could muster, "No, I'm half black." Another prospective student said, "Why'd you have to go there?" I told my dad this, and he said, "You should have said biracial. That's the preferred term." So everybody is always trying to tell me who I am. Flash forward to a bit more recently. I was meeting with a talent agent, and after we had gotten to talking, he asked me, "What's your nationality?" As if being a person of color would automatically strip me of my Americanness. I said, "I'm from here." He said, "I know you're from here," but I interrupted him. "Yeah, I know what you mean. My mom is black and my dad is white." He said, "You could pass for Hispanic. Do you get that a lot?" Yeah. I feel like no one sees who I am, so I don't know who I am. I don't feel like I can identify as black because no one sees me that way. But I have a connection to Leimert Park and Compton and my black family, black food, black culture. I used to feel like I could float between worlds, and now it's more like I'm stuck between them. Stuck between the oppressed and oppressor. But maybe that's what makes me the future. Maybe I can choose who I want to be, how I use the privilege and confusion that comes with ambiguity. I can choose to connect people and communities across racial lines, mending the wounds that resulted in my existence. What am I? I'm black and white. I'm mixed. I'm biracial. I am the future, but I'm also the past. Two conflicting pasts that came together to create something beautiful in the present. And nobody can tell me what or who I am. Thank you.